My parents forbade me from celebrating my 18th birthday because my sister didn't feel special enough. So I moved out that night. A year later, their golden girl saw how successful I'd become, and her jealous meltdown shattered the family. I still remember the exact moment I understood how little I mattered to my parents. It was 3 weeks before my 18th birthday, and I'd just come home from my after-school job at the bookstore, excited to talk about maybe having a small dinner with a few friends. Nothing extravagant. Just something to mark the milestone. My mom was in the kitchen with my younger sister, Bethany, who was 16 at the time. They were looking at party decoration catalogs, which seemed like a good sign until I realized they were planning Bethany's sweet 16 that had happened 4 months earlier. Apparently, she wanted a redo because the original party didn't capture her true essence. I'm not even kidding. Mom, I wanted to ask about my birthday next month, I started, setting my backpack down by the counter. The look she gave me could have frozen fire. Madison, your sister is going through something right now. She's been feeling overlooked lately, and we need to be sensitive to her needs. Bethany didn't even look up from the catalog. She just kept circling pictures of balloon arches and dessert tables with her pink gel pen. I just want to have dinner with maybe 5 friends, I said carefully. We could go to that Italian place downtown. I've been saving money from work. Absolutely not. My dad's voice came from the doorway. I hadn't even heard him come in. Do you have any idea how that would make your sister feel? She's already struggling with her self-esteem, and watching you celebrate would be devastating for her. I stared at him. It's my 18th birthday. And she's your sister, my mom snapped. Family comes first, Madison. Always. We've talked about this. When you turn 18, you become an adult, which means you need to start thinking less about yourself and more about how your actions affect others. The logic was so twisted I almost laughed. Almost. Bethany finally looked up, her eyes wide and innocent. I'm sorry, Maddie. I know it's not fair to you. I just feel like nobody ever pays attention to me, and if you have this big party, I'll feel invisible again. My mother immediately wrapped an arm around her. See? She's aware of how difficult this is. That's very mature of you, honey. I left the kitchen without another word. That night, I lay in bed doing calculations. I had $3,847 saved from working at the bookstore for the past 2 years. I'd been putting aside money for college, but I'd also gotten a full academic scholarship to State University that would cover tuition and housing. My birthday was on a Friday. I turned 18 at 6:23 in the morning, the exact time my mother loved to remind me she'd been in labor. By midnight, I had a plan. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in pretending everything was fine. I went to school, worked my shifts, came home, did homework, and didn't mention my birthday once. My parents seemed relieved. Bethany went back to planning her party redo, which had somehow evolved into a weekend trip to a spa resort that cost more than my car was worth. Well, my car was worth $800 and had a muffler held on with wire hangers, but still. On the Thursday before my birthday, I started moving things out. Just small stuff at first. My laptop, my important documents, my favorite books. I'd rented a storage unit across town for $39 a month and made trips there after work, telling my parents I'd picked up extra shifts. My best friend Kiara knew what I was doing. She'd offered to let me stay with her family, but I declined. I needed to do this completely on my own to prove to myself that I could. Friday morning, I woke up at 6. At 6:23, I lay there in the silence of my childhood bedroom and whispered, "Happy birthday" to me. No one came to my room. No surprise. No cake. No card on my desk. I got dressed, packed the last of my essentials into 2 duffel bags, and walked downstairs. My parents were having coffee in the kitchen. Bethany was still asleep. "I'm leaving," I announced. My mom glanced up. "Okay, have a good day at school." "No," I said. "I'm leaving. Moving out. I'm 18 now, and I'm done." My dad's coffee mug stopped halfway to his mouth. "What are you talking about?" "I'm moving out. I've already packed. I found a room to rent near campus, and I start my summer job on Monday." My mother's face went through several expressions before landing on anger. "You're being ridiculous. You can't just leave because you're having a tantrum about your birthday." "I'm not having a tantrum. I'm making a choice." I kept my voice level. "You've made it clear where I stand in this family, and I'm okay with it now. But I don't have to stay here and watch it anymore." Madison Elizabeth Crawford, if you walk out that door, don't expect us to welcome you back with open arms, my father said, standing up. His face had gone red. "I don't expect anything from you anymore," I replied. "That's actually really freeing." My mother tried a different approach. "Honey, you're upset. We understand. Why don't we talk about this? Maybe we can still do something small for your birthday this weekend. I don't want something small this weekend. I wanted to matter 3 weeks ago when I asked. I wanted to matter 16 years ago, or 10 years ago, or literally any time before today. I picked up my bags. I'll come back for the rest of my stuff when you're not home. Bethany appeared at the top of the stairs in her pajamas, looking confused and sleepy. What's happening? Your sister is being selfish and throwing away her family over a birthday party, my mom said bitterly. I looked at Bethany, and for just a second, I felt bad for her. She'd been conditioned to think the world revolved around her feelings, and that was going to hurt her eventually. But that wasn't my problem to fix. Bye, Beth, I said. Then I walked out. The room I'd rented was in a house owned by an older woman named Mrs. Chen, who rented to college students. It was small, barely bigger than a closet, but it was mine. I had a twin bed, a desk, a dresser, and a window that looked out onto a garden. The rent was $425 a month, utilities included. That first night, I sat on my bed and ate Chinese takeout alone. Mrs. Chen knocked around 8 and handed me a cupcake with a single candle. Your landlord application said your birthday was today, she said with a kind smile. Everyone deserves cake on their birthday. I cried for the first time since leaving. The next few months were hard in ways I hadn't anticipated. Working 30 hours a week while taking summer classes was exhausting. I lived on ramen, peanut butter sandwiches, and the occasional free food from campus events. I didn't have money for anything extra. No coffees out, no movies, no new clothes. But I also felt lighter than I had in years. My parents called twice in the first month. The conversations were brief and uncomfortable. They wanted me to apologize and come home. I refused. After that, the calls stopped. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they told extended family I'd chosen to live independently rather than admit we'd had a falling out. Bethany texted me once, "Mom and Dad are really hurt. You should apologize." I blocked her number. I threw myself into school and work with an intensity that probably wasn't healthy. I took extra classes, picked up freelance graphic design work, and by the end of summer, I'd landed an internship at a marketing firm downtown. The internship was supposed to be unpaid, but my supervisor, a woman named Grace Holloway, was so impressed with my work that she convinced the company to pay me $15 an hour. You have an eye for this, she told me after I'd redesigned a client's entire social media strategy. How old are you? 18, I said. Jesus. I didn't have half this figured out until I was 30. The work at Holloway and Associates was challenging in ways that felt productive rather than draining. Grace had a way of pushing me just beyond my comfort zone without making me feel incompetent. She'd assign me projects that seemed impossible at first, then give me just enough guidance to find my own solutions. My first major project was rebranding a local coffee chain that was losing business to corporate competitors. I spent 2 weeks researching their customer base, analyzing their social media engagement, and developing a strategy that emphasized their community roots and artisanal approach. When I presented my ideas to Grace and the client, my hands were shaking so badly I had to clasp them behind my back. The client loved it. They implemented every suggestion I made, and within 6 weeks, their foot traffic had increased by 30%. Grace called me into her office the day the numbers came in. You just earned this company a long-term contract, she said, sliding an envelope across her desk. That's a bonus check. You deserve it. I opened the envelope. $500. I'd never held that much money at once in my life. Thank you, I managed to say. Don't thank me. You earned it. Now get back to work. I have 3 more clients who need your magic touch. The bonus went straight into my savings account, but the validation meant more than the money. Someone believed I was good at something. Someone saw value in my work beyond just showing up and doing what I was told. By October, Grace offered me a part-time position that would continue through the school year. The offer came with a salary of $22 an hour, which was more money than I'd ever imagined making while still in school. I accepted immediately, then went home and cried in my tiny apartment because everything was finally working out. The job meant rearranging my entire schedule. I started taking morning classes so I could work afternoons and evenings at the firm. My weeks became a blur of lectures, client meetings, design work, and studying late into the night. I survived on coffee and determination, sleeping maybe 5 hours a night if I was lucky. Mrs. Chen noticed. She started leaving containers of homemade soup outside my door with notes that said things like, "Eat something other than noodles and you look too thin." Her small kindnesses kept me going on days when I felt like I might collapse from exhaustion. There were moments when I wondered if I'd made a mistake leaving home. Not because I missed my parents, but because I was so tired all the time and couldn't remember the last time I'd done something purely for fun. But then I'd walk past my old house on the way to campus and see Bethany's car in the driveway with a custom license plate my parents had bought her, and I'd remember why I left. In November, I ran into one of Bethany's friends at a campus coffee shop. Ashley Winters had been at our house constantly during high school, and she recognized me immediately. Madison. Oh my God, how are you? She hugged me before I could step back. Your mom said you moved out for school. That's so cool that you're living independently. So that was the story they'd gone with. Clean. Simple. Nothing about the real reason. Yeah, I'm doing well, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Beth really misses you. She talks about you all the time. Says she wishes you'd come home for Thanksgiving? I have other plans. Ashley's smile faltered slightly. Oh. Well, she'll be sad to hear that. Your parents are throwing her this huge Thanksgiving celebration. They rented out that fancy restaurant on 5th Street. The whole family is coming. Of course they were. Another party for Bethany. Another opportunity to shower her with attention and gifts while pretending I didn't exist. Sounds nice, I said flatly. You should come. I'm sure they'd love to see you. I doubt that. I need to go, Ashley. Good seeing you. I left before she could say anything else, my chest tight with old anger I thought I'd moved past. The encounter stayed with me for days. I kept imagining my family gathered around some elaborate Thanksgiving spread, everyone laughing and happy, not a single person wondering where I was or if I was okay. Marcus noticed my mood shift. We'd been dating for about a month by then, and I'd been careful not to dump all my family drama on him too soon. But one night after we'd studied together at the library, he asked me directly, "What's going on with you? You've been somewhere else all week." I told him everything. About my parents, about Bethany, about the birthday that broke everything. He listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker as the story unfolded. "That's messed up," he said when I finished. Like, seriously messed up. It is what it is. No, Madison. It's not normal. You know that, right? Parents aren't supposed to pick favorites like that. I know. Do you though? Because you're talking about it like it's just some quirk of your family dynamic, but it's actual emotional neglect. Hearing him name it so directly made something crack open inside me. I guess I never thought about it that way. I just thought maybe I wasn't trying hard enough to be what they wanted. That's exactly what victims of neglect think. It's not your fault. None of it was ever your fault. We sat in his car in the library parking lot while I cried harder than I had in months. He held my hand and didn't try to fix anything, just let me feel what I needed to feel. "You're coming to Ohio with me for Thanksgiving," he said after I'd calmed down. "My mom will feed you until you can't move, and my dad will bore you with stories about his model train collection. It's non-negotiable. I don't want to intrude, you're not intruding. You're family now. That's how it works in functional families. We actually want to include people." Going to Ohio for Thanksgiving was the best decision I'd made in months. Marcus's parents, Robert and Linda, treated me like I'd always been part of their lives. Linda taught me her grandmother's recipe for sweet potato casserole. Robert showed me his elaborate model train setup in the basement, narrating the history of every tiny building and figure with genuine enthusiasm. "Our son really likes you," Linda told me while we were doing dishes after dinner. "He talks about you constantly. Your work ethic, your kindness, your strength." "He's pretty great too," I said, feeling my cheeks heat up. "He told us a bit about your situation with your family. I hope you don't mind." I stiffened slightly. "Oh. I just want you to know that you're always welcome here. Holidays, random weekends, whenever. Our door is open." She put a warm hand on my shoulder. "Every young person deserves to have adults in their corner. If your parents won't be that for you, we will." I had to excuse myself to the bathroom so I could cry in private. These people barely knew me, and they were offering me more support than my own family ever had. By December, I'd been promoted to junior designer with a salary that let me move into a better apartment and actually buy groceries without checking my bank account first. The new place was a one-bedroom in a safer neighborhood, with actual insulation and a kitchen that had more than 2 working burners. I felt rich. I made the dean's list my first semester. I joined a design collective on campus. I started dating a guy named Marcus from my economics class who made me laugh, and never once made me feel like I needed to diminish myself. I built a life that was entirely my own. Around Thanksgiving, Kiara asked if I was going home for the holidays. "That's not my home anymore," I said simply. She didn't push. I spent Thanksgiving with Mrs. Chen and her family. Christmas with Marcus and his parents in Ohio. New Year's Eve at a party with my design collective friends, watching fireworks from a rooftop and feeling like I'd finally figured out who I was supposed to be. My 19th birthday came and went. Marcus took me to dinner. My friends threw me a surprise party. Grace gave me a bonus and told me I was on track to be senior designer by the time I graduated. Everything was good. Better than good. And then March happened. I was at a networking event downtown, the kind of thing I used to find intimidating but now navigated easily. I just finished talking to a potential client about their rebrand when I heard a familiar voice behind me. Madison? I turned around, and there was Bethany. She looked different. Older, obviously, but also tired. Her hair was in a messy ponytail, and she was wearing jeans and a State University sweatshirt. She was holding a plate of sad-looking cheese cubes. Beth, I said neutrally. I almost didn't recognize you, she said, looking me up and down. I was wearing a blazer and heels, carrying the leather portfolio Grace had given me for Christmas. You look so professional. I'm here for work, I explained. I work at Holloway and Associates. Her eyes widened. The marketing firm? That huge company downtown? It's mid-sized, but yeah. But you're still in school. Part-time position. I'm a junior designer. Something flickered across her face. Wow. That's great, Maddie. An awkward silence stretched between us. Are you here for school? I asked, more out of politeness than genuine curiosity. Yeah, I'm a freshman at State. I'm here because my communication professor made us come to get extra credit. I'm kind of failing his class, she laughed, but it sounded forced. College is way harder than I thought it would be. It takes adjustment, I said diplomatically. How did you do it? The question came out almost desperate. Like, how did you just leave and figure everything out? Mom and Dad said you'd come crawling back within a month, but then you never did, and now you're here looking like some kind of boss woman, and I'm eating free cheese because I can't afford real dinner. I felt a twist of something in my chest. Not quite sympathy, not quite satisfaction. I worked really hard. I didn't have a choice. Because of your birthday thing? My jaw tightened. It wasn't a thing, Beth. It was the final example in a very long pattern. She looked down at her cheese plate. I know they weren't always fair to you. Do you? I'm starting to get it now, she said quietly. College is kicking my ass, and when I call home stressed about exams or whatever, Mom just tells me I'm being dramatic. Dad says I need to toughen up. It's like now that I'm not their special little girl living at home, they don't care as much. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt hollow. I'm sorry you're going through that, I said, and meant it. But I need to get back to networking. Wait, can we maybe get coffee sometime? I'd really like to talk more. I miss you. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, Maddie. I know I was awful. I know I took advantage of how Mom and Dad treated you. I'm trying to be better. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She seemed genuine, but I'd been burned before. Give me your number, I finally said. I'll think about it. She pulled out her phone eagerly, and we exchanged numbers. After she left, I immediately felt conflicted about the decision. I didn't text her. 2 weeks later, my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this Madison Crawford? A woman's voice I didn't recognize. Yes? This is Patricia Winters. I'm your sister Bethany's academic advisor at State University. She listed you as an emergency contact. My stomach dropped. Is she okay? She's fine physically, but she's in some academic trouble, and I'm calling because she specifically asked me to reach out to you. She's at risk of failing 3 of her 5 classes this semester, and she's missed multiple advising appointments. When I finally got her to come in today, she broke down crying and said the only person who might understand is her sister. I closed my eyes. I don't know how I can help. She seems to think you could talk to her parents on her behalf. Apparently, there's some family dynamic I'm not privy to, but she's in crisis, and I'm trying to help her access her support systems. Family. Support systems. The irony was almost funny. Tell her I'll meet her for coffee tomorrow, I said finally. The next day, I met Bethany at a cafe near campus. She looked worse than she had at the networking event. Dark circles under her eyes, chipped nail polish, the same sweatshirt. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. Your advisor called me. She's worried about you. I'm drowning, Maddie. I don't know what to do. Her voice cracked. All my life, everything came easy because Mom and Dad smoothed out every problem. They talked to my teachers when my grades weren't good enough. They made excuses when I didn't make the volleyball team. They threw me parties and told me I was special and perfect. And then I got to college and none of that mattered. I'm just another student who can't keep up, and I don't know how to fix things on my own. Why are you telling me this? Because you figured it out. You learned how to survive without them, and I need to know how. I took a breath. I figured it out because I had to, Beth. Because there was no safety net. I worked 2 jobs while taking a full course load. I ate ramen for months. I cried myself to sleep more times than I can count. It wasn't some inspiring journey of self-discovery. It was survival. I want to survive too. I just don't know where to start. We talked for 2 hours. I helped her map out a plan, tutoring sessions, office hours with professors, a revised study schedule, dropping one class to lighten her load. I gave her the number of my academic advisor from freshman year who'd helped me navigate the system. "What about Mom and Dad?" she asked as we were leaving. "Should I tell them how bad things are? Do you think they'd help?" She considered this. Probably not. They'd probably just say I'm being too sensitive or not trying hard enough. Then you have your answer. Something changed between us after that. We started meeting for coffee weekly. I helped her with time management and studying strategies. She slowly pulled her grades up. We didn't talk much about our parents or the past, which suited me fine. Spring semester brought new challenges and opportunities. I'd been taking on increasingly complex projects at work, and Grace started bringing me into client meetings as a full participant rather than just an observer. I learned how to read a room, how to pitch ideas confidently, how to handle criticism without taking it personally. One particularly difficult client, a real estate developer named Richard Bronson, hated every concept I presented for 3 straight weeks. Grace watched me struggle with maintaining professionalism while he dismissed my work with barely concealed contempt. "Why does he hate everything?" I asked her after another brutal meeting. "He doesn't hate your work. He hates that you're young and talented, and he's intimidated by that. Keep pushing. Make him see what I see." The next week, I came prepared with a presentation that anticipated every objection he'd raised and addressed them preemptively. I walked him through market research, competitor analysis, and projected ROI with such thorough detail that he couldn't find anything to criticize. "Fine," he finally said. "Let's move forward with this." After he left, Grace high-fived me in the conference room. "That's how you handle difficult clients. You just outworked his bad attitude." The victory felt incredible, but it also made me realize how much I'd changed in less than a year. The girl who'd left home barely able to advocate for herself had become someone who could hold her ground in professional settings against men twice her age. Around April, my scholarship advisor called me in for a meeting. I assumed it was routine check-in until I sat down and saw the expression on her face. "Madison, I wanted to let you know that you've been selected for the presidential scholarship for next year. It's a full ride plus a stipend for living expenses." I stared at her. "What? Your GPA, your work portfolio, your letters of recommendation from professors and your employer, everything was exceptional. You're one of only 5 students chosen from the entire university." The stipend was $12,000 for the year. Combined with my salary from Holloway and Associates, I'd actually be financially stable for the first time in my life. No more anxiety about making rent. No more choosing between buying textbooks or eating properly. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much." She smiled warmly. "You earned this, Madison. Every bit of it." I called Marcus immediately after leaving her office. He picked up on the second ring. "I got the presidential scholarship," I blurted out. "What? That's incredible. I'm coming to get you. We're celebrating." He took me to dinner at the Italian restaurant I'd wanted to go to for my 18th birthday. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. "To the girl who saved herself," Marcus said, raising his glass of sparkling cider. "To not giving up," I countered. We clinked glasses, and I felt something settle inside me. I was going to be okay. Better than okay. I was going to thrive. The scholarship news somehow reached my parents. I don't know who told them, maybe Ashley, maybe some other mutual connection from high school. In early May, my mother called from a number I didn't recognize. "Madison, we heard about your scholarship. That's wonderful news." Her voice was strained, artificial. I could hear the effort it took for her to sound pleased. "Thanks," I said carefully. "We'd love to take you out to celebrate. A family dinner, just like we used to do." Like we used to do. The rewriting of history was breathtaking. We'd never done family dinners to celebrate my achievements. Those had always been reserved for Bethany's accomplishments, real or imagined. I don't think that's a good idea. "Madison, please. It's been almost a year. Don't you think it's time we moved past this?" "Moved past what, exactly?" "You haven't apologized. You haven't acknowledged what you did wrong. You just want to pretend nothing happened. We were doing our best as parents. We made choices we thought were right at the time. Can't you give us credit for trying?" "No," I said simply. "I can't. Because trying would have meant listening when I told you how your choices affected me. Trying would have meant treating both your daughters with equal consideration. You didn't try. You chose." She was quiet for a long moment. "Your sister misses you. Then she can call me herself. Goodbye, Mom." I hung up and blocked that number too. 2 days later, Bethany did call. But her call wasn't what I expected. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. Beth? What's wrong? I messed up, Maddie. I messed up so bad. What happened? I got arrested last night. DUI. I wasn't hurt and nobody else was hurt, but I blew a .09 and they took me to jail and Mom and Dad had to come get me and they're so disappointed and I don't know what to do. My stomach dropped. Are you okay? I'm fine. Scared, but fine. The court date is in 3 weeks. Mom and Dad are saying this is all because I've been under too much stress from school, like it's not my fault, but Maddie, it is my fault. I chose to drink. I chose to drive. I could have killed someone. This was different. This wasn't her making excuses or deflecting blame. This was actual accountability. What do you need from me? I asked. I don't know. I just needed to hear your voice. Mom and Dad are trying to hire some expensive lawyer to make this go away, and I keep thinking about how you had to figure everything out on your own with no help, and here I am still letting them fix my problems. Beth, you should have a lawyer. This is serious. I know. But I don't want them to make it disappear. I want to face the consequences. I want to actually learn from this instead of having it swept under the rug like everything else. We talked for over an hour. I helped her think through what taking responsibility actually meant, how to approach the situation with maturity. By the end of the call, she sounded more stable. Can I see you soon? She asked. Like, in person? Yeah. Coffee this weekend? Please. When we met that Saturday, Bethany looked different. More serious, more grounded. She told me she'd insisted on taking a plea deal despite her parents' objections, accepting community service and mandatory alcohol education classes. Mom and Dad are furious with me, she said. They think I'm ruining my future by not fighting the charges. But you know what? I'd be ruining my future by not learning from this. I'm proud of you, I said, and meant it. Really? Yeah. What you're doing takes real courage. It's easier to let someone else fix your problems. I'm starting to understand why you left. Not completely, but more than I did before. I'm starting to see how they made me weak by never letting me struggle. We talked about her classes, about the volunteer work she'd started at a crisis center, about how she was trying to rebuild her life on her own terms. She was genuinely changing, and watching it happen felt like watching someone wake up from a long sleep. Then June rolled around, and everything exploded. I was at my apartment when my phone rang. My mother. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. Madison, we need to talk about your sister. Hello to you too, Mom. She ignored that. Bethany told us she's been meeting with you regularly. She said you've been helping her with school. She asked for help. I provided it. Well, she's been saying some very concerning things lately. She told your father and me that she feels like we coddled her and that she wishes she'd been raised more like you were. I almost laughed. And that's concerning to you because? Because you're putting ideas in her head, Madison. You're making her think that the way we parented was somehow wrong, and that's completely inappropriate. I haven't made her think anything. She came to her own conclusions based on her experiences. She was fine until she started spending time with you again. You're poisoning her against us because you're still bitter about your birthday situation. The laugh finally escaped. My birthday situation. Is that what we're calling it? You're twisting things. We were trying to be fair to both of our daughters. No, you were catering to one daughter at the expense of the other. There's a difference. How dare you? I'm going to stop you right there, I interrupted. I'm not doing this. I helped Beth because she asked for help, not because I have some vendetta against you. If she's questioning your parenting, maybe that's something you should examine instead of blaming me. You've always been ungrateful. And you've always been blind to your own favoritism. We're even. I hung up. An hour later, Bethany called. Mom and Dad are freaking out, she said. They're saying you're trying to turn me against them. Are they wrong? I don't know anymore. She sounded exhausted. They want to have a family dinner. All of us. They want to clear the air and move forward. Every instinct I had screamed no. I'm not interested. Please, Maddie. I need you there. I don't think I can face them alone, and I have things I need to say. Beth, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm going to tell them how I feel either way. But it would be easier with you there. Please. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The dinner was at an upscale restaurant downtown. I arrived 15 minutes late deliberately, and they were already seated. My parents looked older than I remembered. My father's hair had gone grayer. My mother had new lines around her mouth. Bethany looked terrified. Madison, thank you for coming, my father said stiffly as I sat down. Let's just get to it, I replied. What is this about? My mother folded her hands on the table. We're here because our family has been fractured for over a year now, and it's time to heal. We're willing to move past your birthday tantrum if you're willing to apologize and acknowledge your part in this rift. I stared at her. My part? You left without giving us a chance to explain our position. You cut off contact. You refused to come home for holidays. Those were choices you made. After you chose to prioritize Beth's feelings over my entire existence. We were trying to be sensitive to your sister's needs. By forbidding me from celebrating becoming an adult? Bethany spoke up, her voice shaking. Stop talking about me like I'm not here. Everyone turned to look at her. I'm the reason this dinner is happening, she continued. Because I have things I need to say to all of you. My mother reached over to pat her hand. Honey, you don't need to. Yes, I do. Bethany pulled her hand back. I need to say that Maddie was right. About everything. You did favor me. You did coddle me. You made her feel invisible so I could feel special, and that was wrong. My father's face darkened. Bethany, your sister is twisting. No, she's not. I'm 18 now, almost 19. I'm old enough to see what happened. Every time Maddie accomplished something, you downplayed it. Every time I failed at something, you made excuses. You threw me a second sweet 16 party because I was feeling insecure, but you wouldn't let Maddie have a simple dinner for her 18th birthday. How is that fair? You were going through a difficult time, my mother said defensively. I was being a brat? Bethany's voice rose. And you enabled it instead of parenting me. Do you know how unprepared I was for college? For real life? I almost failed out my first year because I had no idea how to function without you solving all my problems. We were protecting you, my father insisted. From what? Reality? Growing up? Meanwhile, Maddie learned how to actually survive because you gave her no choice. Bethany turned to me, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for being part of why you had to leave. For being spoiled and self-centered and not standing up for you when I should have. I felt my own throat tighten. Thank you. My mother looked between us, her expression morphing into something ugly. I cannot believe I'm hearing this. After everything we've done for you, Bethany. The opportunities we've given you. The sacrifices we've made. You mean the opportunities and sacrifices you gave to her while giving me nothing? I asked quietly. You've done perfectly fine on your own, haven't you? My mother snapped. You have your fancy job and your apartment and your perfect life. Maybe we knew you were strong enough to handle things without our support. That's not parenting, I said. That's abandonment with extra steps. How dare you? She's right, Bethany interrupted. That's exactly what it was. You abandoned Maddie emotionally long before she left physically. And now you're mad because she succeeded anyway and I'm finally seeing you clearly. My father stood up abruptly. I don't have to sit here and listen to this disrespect. Then leave, I said simply. We're all adults here. You can leave at any time you want. He stared at me, clearly expecting me to back down. When I didn't, he threw his napkin on the table and walked out. My mother hesitated, looking between Bethany and me. You're making a mistake, she said to Bethany. Siding with her will only hurt you in the long run. The only mistake I made was taking so long to see the truth, Bethany replied. My mother grabbed her purse and followed my father out. Bethany and I sat in silence for a moment. Well, she finally said, that went about as well as expected. Are you okay? No. But I will be. She wiped her eyes. Thanks for coming. I know you didn't want to. I'm glad I did. We ordered dinner, just the two of us, and talked about everything except our parents. She told me about a guy she was seeing, about switching her major to psychology, about the volunteer work she'd started at a teen crisis center. I told her about my promotion, about Marcus proposing last week, about the possibility of starting my own design firm after graduation. You're getting married? She looked genuinely happy for me. Eventually. We're thinking a long engagement. Will you invite Mom and Dad? I considered this. Probably not. They've made it clear what they think of my choices. Fair. Around 10, we left the restaurant and stood outside in the warm evening air. What happens now? Bethany asked. I don't know. We figure it out as we go, I guess. Can we keep meeting for coffee? I'd like that. She hugged me, and I hugged her back, and something that had been broken for a very long time felt like maybe it was starting to heal. 3 months later, I got a text from my mother. Just one line, your father and I would like to talk. I showed it to Marcus, who was making dinner in our new apartment. What do you want to do? He asked. Nothing, I said, deleting the message. I want to do absolutely nothing. Good. I texted Bethany instead, "Coffee tomorrow?" She replied immediately, "Already there in spirit." My 19th birthday had been everything my 18th should have been. My 20th was even better. Marcus, Bethany, Kiara, and my design collective friends rented out a small venue and threw me a party that felt like being surrounded by people who actually saw me. Grace gave a toast about how proud she was of everything I'd accomplished. Marcus kissed me under string lights. Bethany hugged me and whispered, "Happy birthday, sis." Later, sitting on our apartment balcony with Marcus, watching the city lights, I thought about the girl I'd been 2 years ago. The one who'd packed her bags and walked out with no safety net, no backup plan, just determination and spite. "You okay?" Marcus asked, pulling me closer. "Yeah," I said, and meant it. "I really am." My phone buzzed. Another text from my mother, "We're willing to reconcile if you're ready to be mature about this situation." I almost laughed at the phrasing. Instead, I blocked the number and turned off my phone. Some families you're born into. Others you build yourself. I built a good one. And that was enough.